everyone. No music today. We're going to be more technical. I have my AC going. It's actually hot, super hot here in San Diego. Not hot like Texas hot or like the heat that a lot of you have. It's always funny when I say it's hot and then a lot of you are in like 103 degree weather and stuff. So hot for us. And I have my little fuzzies around. He'll be around. They're super sleepy today. How's everyone been doing? I feel like it's been a week. Hi everyone. 105 in El Paso. Yeah, my family's up in close to Lubbock. And it's so hot, so we can't even say it's hot here. It's warm. 105, oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm in the thick of, oh, I love it in Venice. Sedona to Venice, that's a change for sure. It's so good to see some of you. Yeah, I'm still in puppy training, and he's so smart. He's so smart. So I had a boxer previously, and now I have a Doberman, and he's so smart, but he's so sensitive. He's very squishy, I like to call him, or that's what I call myself sometimes too. And it's been a lot of fun to kind of be in puppy mode again. Australia, hi. Puppy might come in, you might see him come around the corner. Some more people from Cali, I love it. All right, so I have read your feedback, and I'm going to start out with like a little umbrella so that we all know where we're starting from, and then we're going to just kind of give some stuff to change your day today, because if we're going to give time, we want to change our lives, and you never want to give time if it's not giving something back to you. And so with this time, I want to be very intentional and make sure that it impacts your day in a positive way, and even check in on, you know, you being on this app and what made you click it and what made you be here, and what are you missing out on in life, and make sure you're not missing out on something that would bring you more value. So my goal will be to bring you as much value as I possibly can during this time, to know that we're competing with other things that are valuable in your life, and that the living is the whole point, that healing is not the point. Healing would happen even if you didn't learn about it. And so we'll give you a little bubble of, in this bubble here with me, we believe that the body knows exactly what it's doing, and our symptoms are healing, and that doesn't mean that we just think positively and hope that they go away, but that we use our wisdom and our intellect to know that they are the effect to a cause, and the cause is our whole life. How we feel, how we think, how we engage, what we do and what we don't do. And when you operate under this, you become the captain. You are the master, you are the driver of the car, you are everything. And you get to be wise and playful and intelligent with how you utilize your natural world. And this way of doing medicine, there was one clarification that I think needs to come up, which is there's a huge distinction between a lack necessity and a free choosing. And when I talk about manipulation-based medicine, it falls into the category of a lack clinging. And that looks like that state that all of us have been through, even me. If you're familiar with my story, I came from this too, of needing everything healthy, needing all of the gadgets, all the latest and greatest stuff, the healthiest food, the gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, everything free. All the words food were the only foods that you can eat. You need all the herbs, all the supplements, all the cleanses, all the detoxes, all the gadgets, all the light bulbs, all the everything. And that was your health and wellness. And it's not that those things are bad. And this is where we've got to get very intentional with language. It's that they're not being used appropriately, and they're not being used in a way that will allow you to set yourself free. And so when we're talking about your life as your medicine, it's not just saying that your life is your medicine only when you use healthy things or eat healthy things. It's saying my life is my medicine every single breath of my life. And it's a moment-to-moment choosing. And I get a say in my physiology. I get a say in the things that I choose. I get a say in how I react. I get a say in how I respond. And all of those things will interface with my physiology. So with that, that's not to say I'm going to, follow the rules that we cover in the master classes and then just screw everything else. It's not that. It's this beautiful dancing and merging between the poetic and the practical. And what that looks like is knowing that you are an active participant. You change your food more than your food could ever change you. And when you really grasp that, you start the journey that's setting yourself free. There is a cause to an effect. You are living the effect. If you do not like the effect, it is up to you to change. And it's not you need a protocol. It's not you need a practitioner. It's not that you need a supplement. It's not that you need a more rigid diet. It's that you need to understand what's going on in your life. And how I like to go about medicine, because I like to have results. I like for things to make sense. And I like to abide by the laws and the principles that are at play here, because if not, you're just going to make your life harder and more difficult. And life is hard enough as it is, right? So the way I like to go about it is to remove variables, because everybody wants to jump into the mind, everyone wants to jump into relationships, emotions, all of those things, but you've got to understand that there are some fundamental things that interface with your physiology. So handle those things, those rules that we talk about, make sure they're in your day every single day, and then you jump into this world of complexity, right? The complexity is not in digestion. The complexity is not in even the light or sleep or movement. That is not complex or it's very straightforward, and you don't need an expert to figure it out. You can figure it out on your own if you just think simply. Don't go into complexity to find a truth. You go into simplicity, absolute simplicity, where every angle is true, not, well, it works for this group of people or for this group of people. No, human. That's when you're going to be in that realm of truth. And then when you implement a truth, it takes care of itself. And then the reason I love doing it this way is then you don't have to think about food anymore. You don't have to think about supplements anymore. You don't have to think about herbs and compounds unless those things just light your heart up. But for the most part, from what I've experienced, those things make people more overwhelmed, and people become a slave to their cabinets. They become a slave to their compounds. They become a slave, and it turns into this thing that captures them instead of setting them free. And so there's a way to go about life where you use whatever is available to you, and you use it to better your experience. Just like we can use cooking for an example. There are certain things that your body will need, right? That's even debatable if we go into certain things we know, but let's just say basic for those of us that choose to indulge and enjoy food, right? But it's not that herbs and spices and all of those things that make food even more delicious are wrong. It's just that they're not as essential as the basics. And so that's what I see a lot of people doing, is getting so distracted and so imprisoned really by micromanaging the little details that really aren't going to give you the outcome that you desire. And if you could buckle down on the basics, then you could play in the details, and then it becomes so much more fun. Then I'm eating organic, I'm eating this way with all of these beautiful plants and all of these different things because I want to, and because I honor and I value this physical body, not if I don't have these things I cannot be well. Like, just hear the difference in those two ways of thinking, those two ways of living. And if we just thought from a body's perspective, like just the body's perspective, what feels more peaceful? Like if I came to you and I said, okay, so here's the deal. You can be well no matter what. You have everything that you need to be well no matter what. And you can add to your wellness, you can add to everything about you in these ways. Or, option number 2, you are lacking in everything, and you need all of these compounds, all of these foods from these specific places, and if you don't have this exact water or this exact light bulb, you can't heal and you can't be well. number one, which one sounds more true? And then number two, if you're just talking to a body, which version would confirm more peace? And so when you're talking about a human body, if you're not taking into account peace, if you're not taking into account, we talk about, I see it a lot, we talk about nervous system regulation and all these different things, but the method that we're going about regulating is what's causing a lot of the dysregulation. So this is where you've got to get very practical in your application of your life. You've got to get very practical and rational in your application of your attention, in your application of your energy, in your investment. And your investment is not just financial, it's time. It's where are you giving your attention? Where are you focusing? Are you focusing on all of these little details, but you're neglecting the fact that the most basic things are just being swept under the rug while you're playing with all these little details? And what results have you gotten, right? Because results speak for themselves. And I love it because, again, when you're handling truths, you handle the truth and you quit thinking about it, but you stay massively committed to the implementation of a truth, because a truth is a truth is a truth. Just like, again, we're going to use this again. If you came to me and you're like, I want to have beautiful vitamin D levels, gorgeous other hormones, and I want a glowing tan, but I never want to get out in the sunlight, we'd have to be like, well, okay, so there are other options, but we're not going to get to accomplish everything you want to accomplish. And that's just the same as gut healing. That's just the same as everything else. And the thing that I find very interesting is when we go into things like hormones, we think hormones are the cause. So we're going to manipulate the hormones, not understanding that the hormones are the effect. And again, the liberation is when you understand the truth that the hormone is a reflection of the cause. It's not causing everything. And when you flip-flop those things, it's not how do I put more hormone in my body or put less of this hormone in my body. It's how am I living that is creating the combination of hormones that are in circulation, because my body is doing it for a reason. And so this is where it requires a little bit more individual thought, which is not something that the medical industry does. And even as practitioners, we're not taught that. We're still taught, even if we're saying it's, individualized custom care, we're still taught to think in categories. That this is a thyroid case, this is, a pre-menopause case, this is a menopause case, this is a male case, this is a, then you get into the world of diagnosing. So it's truly not on the individual level. Even though we're getting better, it's still not to the degree that it could be. And that's why you've got to have agency over your own health. And you have to start asking the questions. If my body's right, why would my hormones not be balanced right now, right? If my body's right, why would it be needing to produce this right now? And ask from that level instead of my body is wrong, who can I find to come and tell me why it's wrong and then tell me how to fix it? And one will keep you busy for the rest of your life, and the other is going to make you do a lot of work, but you are going to get the return on that investment. And then the work that you do, you're not going to have to do again. And that's part of the beauty of this, is your body is literally wanting to push you to the truth. It's wanting you to see the truth of you. It's wanting you to be your most authentic expression of your soul spirit combination in this life. And it's also wanting you to learn things, and it's wanting you to see things, and it is exactly what you're needing to pay attention to. But what happens a lot of times that I see is that we try to translate our body off of somebody else. And you've got to get to the point where you don't want to know what they think about their body. You want to get to know your body. You want to get to know, what makes you excited, what makes you happy. If you can't even answer that, don't put the pressure on your body to make a decision for you, right? It's not that your body doesn't have that capacity. Remember, we talk about everything is like growing a muscle. It's just that you're not utilizing it. And if you can't even spend the time to feel what it feels like to be in your own self without a comparison to another, without a judgment of what you're feeling, without categorizing this is a good emotion, this is a bad emotion. There's no such thing as good or bad. They just are. And we are the ones that put them in different containers. So the second you start labeling is the second you start becoming further away from the communication and the message that's trying to be given and delivered to you. And so as soon as you can, quit labeling things, start feeling things, start understanding, like, you know, even like we talk about in that nutrition class, it's so important to like check in with yourself before you have a meal. Understand what's going on in your body. Are you even hungry? Are you happy? Are you at peace? And if not, why are we eating? Your body's asking you to do something totally different. And this is the path of liberation. And this is what I mean when your medicine should free you. It shouldn't overwhelm you. It shouldn't fill your cabinets. It should set you free. And then it can be a playful thing. Then you can use compounds because you want to, not because you need them. Then you can use herbs because you are in love with everything about them, not because you need them to do something in your body to fill the gap of something that's happening in your actual life. To put an herb where an action should be is dangerous. To put a supplement where an action should be is dangerous. To put a pill where an action should be is dangerous, and it creates more that you're going to have to quote unquote heal from because that's not what the body needed. It's an easy way to manipulate yourself out of experiencing what you're experiencing, but you're not solving the problem. And to understand the difference is really the point of everything that I do here, to understand the difference between a right answer and a truth, to understand the difference between an intention to heal and an intention to love, and to understand the difference between desperation and devotion, and to live what you believe in and not just study and talk about and research what you believe in. You don't believe in the things that you're talking about. You believe in the things that you're living. And when you understand that and you can change the living to reflect the believing, you get this synergistic effect in the body that's unlike anything else. But we are so fragmented because we are relying so heavily on our intellect to provide a peace and a safety that can only be provided through living with integrity. And you've got to understand the difference. You've got to understand that no matter what, your life is medicating you. And it's not a punishment. It's just it just is. It's like you don't get punished because you went out in the sun and you got a tan. It's the outcome. And then you're not punished if you went out in the sun and you got a sunburn. It's the outcome. And if you don't like the outcome, you've got to be so intentional on changing it. And you've got to have the mentality of, okay, I didn't get the outcome that I wanted. It's not wrong, it's not bad. I'm not going to judge myself. I'm not going to start negative self-talk. I'm going to immediately look for my next action. Could I follow the rules next time I eat food? Yes. Okay, then that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to commit to it. And there's not going to be not one more meal where I break the rules, because I realize when I break the rules, I break my heart. And when I break my heart, I break my self-respect. And when I break my self-respect, I break my self-trust. And if I can't trust me, of course, it will be impossible to trust anyone or anything outside of me. And to see the chain reaction, and then to go and reverse it and be like, I've got to get it back here. How are you going to get self-trust back here? By being just in awe of your integrity, being in awe of your honor for yourself. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. If you say that you're going to live a certain way, if you teach people to live a certain way, you live it too. You're not just talking, you're living. It's one of those things, if words went away, if language went away, would the whole world already know what you stand for? Would the whole world already know what you believe in? Or do your words and your performance and your presentation, is that the only thing that holds up this quote-unquote belief? And then can you imagine what that does to a body that can only say true or false? True or false? And you've really got to look at it, because I'm seeing the number one thing I would say is just an epidemic really of lack of trust. And we put it on other people. We don't trust other people. We don't trust the government. We don't trust big business. We got there because you're trying to trust them because you don't trust yourself. Trust is a you thing. When you trust you, you don't have to trust anybody else. You will give your trust where it's warranted, but you're not needing to satisfy that thing through something external. And so this comes back to health, to wellness, because if you're not well, you're not going to feel safe. You're not going to even trust. If you can't trust your body, you can't put that on your psychology to go trust something outside of you. Because at the most fundamental level, you're only here because of this body. Like, if you get absolutely rational and practical, are you here because of the government? Are you here because of big business? Are you here because of the medical industry? Are you here because holistic medicine exists? Are you here because, no, you're here because your body knows everything that it needs to do to keep you alive no matter the conditions. And then, because we are these dynamic beings, you also have a say in what pulses through your veins. And so you're either using it brilliantly and beautifully, or you're using it against you. And so my thing is live in a way that you respect. And it should be a dedication thing. And I'm going to talk about dedication kind of in its own separate thing, because there was a question that came up specifically about dedication. But you only doing things and jumping through hoops and manipulating everything and performing, that's not dedication. That's manipulation and desperation. So put that on your relationships, put it on health and wellness. A true devotion is, I took care of it while I had it. I didn't start taking care of it because I lost it, or because I'm afraid of losing it. So I'm going to go and perform and be something I'm not to get what I think that I lost, right? And so this is how you have to live. It has to be saturating everything. It can't just be in the container of when I'm being healthy, or when I don't feel good, I do these things. Those aren't beliefs. That, just call them what they are. If you're going to do anything, it's manipulation, right? You're manipulating. Not, I'm devoted to, this body. I'm devoted to what I've been given. I'm living my gratitude with every breath. I'm being love. I'm being in a state of love. And to really understand the truth about how you're living will tell you so much more about why your tissues are having to do what your tissues are doing. And you don't need anybody to guide you. I guarantee, if we pause right here, and I just got to go through this whole list of everybody that's here and got to be one-on-one with you and be like, what is breaking your heart the most right now? What are you doing about it? Why aren't we? I would start there. What is on your mind the most? What frustrates you the most? What makes you the most disappointed in yourself in this moment right now? Why aren't we doing something about those things? And then you get a chain reaction on this other side of things. Instead of lack and condemnation and self-deprivation and insecurity, you go in the direction of, no, I took a step in a place that I really needed it. You don't need the herbs. You don't need the supplements. You don't need the protocol. You don't need to learn about the latest thing, the latest peptide. I did all of that. Let me save you some time. It doesn't change anything. What you're needing to change is in your home. What you're needing to change is in your heart. What you're needing to change is in those relationships that matter the most to you. The reason you're going to all these other things is because you haven't handled those things. And then there's even more disintegration, more fragmentation when you say one thing and you live another. That's really hard on a body. That's really hard on a body. And we don't understand the magnitude of these things, because you can't sell self-respect. If people had it, you couldn't sell them anything. That's why you can sell supplements all day long. You can sell herbs and teas and tinctures and compounds and creams and potions all day long. All day long. Because you could sell lack and then sell the solution. We already know this, but we still fall for it because we're lacking that thing that we actually need to give our time, our attention, our hearts, our soul, our time to. And so you've got to really zoom out. Ask yourself the more beautiful questions, not, do I need to be vegan? That is the most boring question. Do I need to be carnivore? Do I need to be paleo? Do I need to be whatever diet that they're going to make up in a month that's basically some random combination of every other diet that's ever existed? That's not a beautiful question. That's a very boring question. A more beautiful question is those that I asked before. What's on your heart right now? What are you trying to pay attention to here so that you don't pay attention to there? What are you running away from? What burns at night? What aches at night? What captures your mind? What captures your heart? What takes you out of beautiful moments? Ask yourself these questions, and you don't need anyone sitting there with you. It's almost better if you don't. If you can be you with you in a moment and let life teach you. And be like, a lot of you have said, like with the nutrition class, no wonder. And that's my favorite thing. Have a sense of humor about it and love your body and be like, oh my gosh, I have lived decades breaking rules to where I should have never had food. I know. When I learned that about me, I'm like, I literally should have never eaten for about 20 years there. Like no food, just fasting, right? And instead I was jumping through frantically trying to find the diet that would make me okay. Instead of being like, I'm not okay. No diet's gonna fix that. Go look at why you're not okay, right? And so this is the path. This is the true work. This is the true medicine. And eat as good as you can with what you have available, with what's accessible to you in the location that you're at. And do light as best you can with what you've got available. You know, everybody has light. Everybody has light. And I know a lot of people are like, okay, but it's dark from this time to this time, or I live in this. So then you're just one of those that has to make a decision. One is if you can see your finger, there's light, right? Even if there's no heat, there's light. And we go through all of that in that light masterclass. But if you can't be well where you're at, then now you've got to make moves. And then all of your time, energy, and attention needs to be to meet the needs that you have. But if you don't even know the needs that you have, you're just going to be frantic and not accomplishing anything. But it's when you're in the world of health and wellness, you're going to feel very virtuous about being stagnant. You're going to feel very virtuous, like I'm doing so many things. But if we got down to the truth of everything that you're doing, you're consuming a lot of things. You're playing with a lot of things. You're not doing a lot of things, right? Even if you're exercising and moving and training and all. No, I'm talking about the real stuff. The reason that you're needing to do all this other stuff. And that's the revelation. That's what I'm trying to bring here. Because when you see it, I promise you, you can't unsee it. You can't unsee it. And then it automatically makes grasping to potions and tinctures and herbs and supplements and protocols and diets, and it makes it seem ridiculous. And it's not this like, I'm going to force myself into thinking. No, it just seems absurd. It just seems absolutely ridiculous. And it frees you. And then it's like, then I'm going to make choices out of devotion. Now I'm going to make choices not because out of desperation, like I have to have these things or I can't be well. No, I'm going to choose these things because I honor what I have. I love what I have, right? I'm not going to wait till I lose it and then manipulate my way back into being how I want things to be. Like put that on a relationship. I've been in a relationship like that, you know, where it ends and then everything changes and I say all the right things and I do all these amazing things and I perform and I perform and I perform and call that change. It's not change. Those were actions made out of desperation to manipulate yourself back into what you want. So when it comes to health, don't do that. Don't do that. Hi. Somebody just joined the room. So that's the biggest thing. And when you can understand those things, it will literally set you free. And then your actions will have such a profound effect, instead of just having actions that when I ask, how's it going? What did it change? I mean, I'm sure it's doing something, but no. Did it change? Did it change you? Is it like going to the gym and actually working hard to where you can't lift not one more rep? That's what's going to change you. That's what's going to get the results. Not, yeah, I'm not really pushed. I don't really feel anything. I think that it's working. I would step away from those things, right? And I would go and do the work where it's going to actually push you, because that's the whole reason you're reaching for all of these little insignificant inputs, right? It's not that they're bad. They're not bad. We talk about it all the time. It's so easy to manipulate a body. But if you're wanting freedom, you can't be in the game of manipulation, right? Maybe there will be a season where you can utilize manipulation here and there, right? And kind of get playful in your application of it. But to think that manipulation is medicine is one of the most dangerous traps that we're in right now, right? It's not make your hormones be something to show up on labs and think that you changed the body. No, that is all synthetic. And the second you remove that input, you go back to what you actually are. And what you actually are is still in circulation. You're just trying to, fight with it. And that creates its own repercussions physiologically. And so that's the world that you're in. But you don't have to be complicated in your thinking of it. Be super, super simple. And then just get brutally honest with yourself. That was even how I got here. One, do I want, if I have to live like this for the rest of my life, and I can't be well without a bag full of stuff, a closet full of stuff, manipulating every, 3 times a day or multiple times a day, or is that well? Am I well? And then what's actually causing it? Because if you found the cause and then you implemented the thing that was going to treat the cause, then you should no longer need the thing that's treating the cause, right? You satisfied it. And so you've got to have this way of thinking with everything in life, because it's so easy to fall into the seduction of the intellect right now, especially when we don't feel safe. I can't remind you of that enough. A lot of what you're doing, from what I've seen, is you're trying to find safety through intellectual accumulation and physiological manipulation. And it's dangerous. It's a very dangerous game to play, when I'd rather you be uncomfortable for a season and go and ask those more difficult questions, those more beautiful questions, those harder questions, the questions that only you can answer, and then take radical action consistently, deliberately, without the mentality of I'm going to do this to get this and then I'm going to stop. But again, that dedication, that commitment, that I'm all in. And if somebody said for how long, you should look at them and be like, that doesn't even make any sense. It would be like, I'm all in on a relationship. For how long? A couple of years. Would you be in that relationship? No. And so it's like, are you all in on your health in a true way? Or is it, I'm only going to do these things if it will change within 2 months? Or I'm only going to do these things if you've got to have a different level of you for a different level of wellness. And you've got to behave differently. You've got to move differently. You've got to think differently. You've got to see the challenge and go into it instead of trying to create a life that creates no discomfort in you. You've got to see the places where the discomfort is exactly the place you need to head into. That uncomfortable spot is saying, I'm here, right? You need to come and you need to pay attention here. You don't need to pay attention right now to micromanaging your meals, your herbs, your supplements, your potions, and your creams. You need to go over here and pay attention here, right? And so this is how you go about doing these things. And that's why I did what I did with those masterclasses, because you do need to remove some variables. So remove them. Make it easier on yourself, because a lot of people, y'all are putting so much pressure on yourself, which again, just think about that. The body registers that psychological pressure. of like just absolute struggle. Struggle is not what we're talking about. Effort is different. Struggle is where you need to change. If you're struggling, if you're just like having to do and do and do, and you can only eat these things and you have to have all these supplements and you have to, that's a struggle. Effort is I invest, I manage myself, my energy, my mind, my heart, my emotions, my actions, my time as wisely as I can. And when I learn, I change, and I'm committed. There's no such thing as like a day off. It doesn't even register. Like, you're just committed, period. And then you learn and you evolve, and everything has something to offer. That's such a different way to live, and your physiology will reflect that undercurrent. All right. I know we kind of went fast there, and I do want to make sure it's simple enough that you understand and have a takeaway today. So I'm going to give you a takeaway right now, if I could give you anything, is exactly those questions that I asked you earlier. Ask yourself those questions tonight. Don't ask like, what's the latest thing to change hormones, and what have they found out about this compound that it does? Stop. What is the biggest burden on your heart right now, and what are you doing about it? What is the greatest thing that you aspire to do, be, or have, that you're not taking any action in the direction of that? Why? Could we change both of those things? Any step is a step. Every step is a step. The only thing that's going to not be what you want is if you're not doing anything in those areas. And it really is as simple as this. You already know the things that are the most burdensome on your heart and your mind. You already know what steals your energy the most. You already know so many things. You've got to come to terms with, what is it? Why am I not taking that step? What about the comfort of this level of discomfort seems safer than the discomfort of an unpredictable step? And then you've got to go into those parts of you, and you've got to let life push you. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. But it will be simple. And that's where you can truly set yourself free. You don't need another practitioner. You don't need another expert. You need to be devoted to you and your life. And you need to be devoted to hearing the whispers of your heart, knowing what you value, knowing what you respect, and knowing the places where you've lost respect for yourself, and then having the determination to commit to what would earn your respect back. Because again, when we're talking about trust and wanting a balanced nervous system and all of these happy hormones and neurotransmitters, and you don't trust yourself because you are disappointed in your own actions, because you've consumed more than you've ever implemented, then we've got to stop the cycle. And with everything that you know now, how could you do this day better? How could you do the next hour better? How could you do the next week better? And how could you just commit to the process instead of demanding an outcome to prove itself to you for you to commit to it? Commit to you. Commit to honoring. You say that you love the body you're in. If I asked your body, what would it tell me? Would it be like, yes, he does, she does. And I'll tell you how I know. Not, oh, she talks about it all the time. Oh, she can talk about how much she loves me and how much she trusts me and how great. But if we're talking to your body, the body speaks in show me. So if you're going to show your devotion to your body, if you're going to show your love and your commitment to what you have, what would that look like living? With no words, what would it look like living? And are you doing that right now? And then the other thing is, if we were to, have that little device, that little Men in Black pin, but the function of this pin made everybody have telepathy, would your intentions and your motives match your actions? And then would you still continue to do those actions out of love for your body? And then really go into the answers of those questions. And that alone would set you free. And then you do all this other, because why not? Then if it's coming from a true devotion, not I want my body to look this way, feel this way, behave this way, be all these things, therefore I'm going to perform and manipulate and all of these things to get my way. Is that love and devotion? Or is that desperation and manipulation? And then what would it actually look like? With you right here, right now, devote to it. Devote yourself wholeheartedly to it. And then what would that look like? Would it change how you chose your food? Would it change why you chose what you chose? Would it change who you're around? Would it change what you consume mentally, emotionally, physically? Would it change how you respond? Would it change what you committed to? From what I've seen, it would. You know, and this is a you with you work, and it doesn't cost anything. So that's why it's like, do this work, and it literally, it'll take you where everyone's doing it backwards. You can't manipulate yourself here. You've got to liberate yourself here, and the only way you liberate yourself here is you've got to live everything that you're trying to get through the intellect. It's got to be a lived experience, right? Respect is earned. Have you done what is required to earn your respect? Because remember, the most beautiful thing is that your body knows your thoughts, your motives, your intentions, and your actions. And it shows you the truth about that, right? And so that's between you and you. There's some things that nobody outside of you will ever know, but you do. And when I say your life is your medicine, there's this other layer to it. That is how you live your life medicates you. And everyone is always like, you know, if I love somebody, I medicate them. No, you're medicating you with the purity of your love. You're medicating you with the purity of your actions. You're medicating you with the purity of your service. If they benefit from that, that's a beautiful bonus, a beautiful side effect, because they have to go through their level of receiving and receptivity and how they filter that on their own. But your only focus is what you give. So if you're needing, you know, support, you should be giving support. If you're needing connection, you should be giving connection. If you're needing to feel love, you should be loving, right? Not trying to receive the love. And that's where we get all confused. We think we need to gather the things to put them in us, when it's not that at all, right? And I know parents, or even like pet owners, you know this, you feel a ridiculous amount of love because the purity of the love that you give to that infant, the purity of love that you give to that pet, right? My heart has been just bursting with just so much love, not because, you know, something loves me, but because I love something. I love people. I love this way. And so when I say your life is your medicine, that's why, you know, you can call it karma, or you can call it whatever you want to call it, cause and effect, lots of different things to say the same thing. But my actions medicate me, right? They can benefit you, right, based on, again, your receptivity, but they medicate me based off of the truth of them, right? So the performance of them doesn't translate. The performance of them is more for the show for you, right? The truth of it is what medicates me. So I could be, you know, serving, but the intention and the motives could be for me to gain. And then that's poison, right? It could seem virtuous, it could seem good, but the truth of what is given is what is received by you. That's why when I say your life is your medicine, not somebody else's. It's not, and so when people are like, well, nobody, you know, loves me. I don't have anybody, you know, these people are so lucky, you're so lucky you have a family, you're so lucky you have, well, they're medicating them. And based on my level of receptivity, I can receive some of that overflow. But what I receive, what is translated into my blood, is the truth of my actions. So the truth of your actions is medicating you. And that's why authenticity, it's just truth, right? Authenticity is just truth, is the most powerful frequency, right? We know that now, even more powerful than love. It's true. It's truth. I think we've polluted love, unfortunately, but truth. And that's how you want to live. And then a body that lives that way, you don't have to manipulate it into feeling good. Do you see the difference? Instead of, I've got to go gather all of the things and control all of the things that can make me feel good, versus I can identify that I don't feel good and that I'm in control of this. And then what can I do to fill that up in a true way, right? And again, you've got to think, it's basically like, I was talking to a friend the other day, you're basically in backwards upside down world. So like, if you've tried one way really, really hard and you haven't gotten results, try the opposite. So if you feel, a lack of love, right? Which comes up a lot, even in some of these questions that you send, like, no, I'm not getting things from people. Okay, do a little thought experiment. You're in backwards upside down world. So instead of needing to perform to receive it, what if you go and give it? Do an experiment today. Go do the opposite. Instead of performing and trying to manipulate and control others into giving you what you need to feel okay, go give what you think you need in a true way, right? Don't make it some fake performance, because then that's not going to translate, because again, your body knows the truth. It literally will tell on you with a lie detector test. So don't try to bullshit it. So how can you go, like, even if it's like you genuinely love animals, you genuinely love children, you genuinely can find love in your heart for people that have gone through the same experience as you, how can you give love in a true way? And then let that experiment teach you something, and then sit with the results of it. It's not, how do I go get everything that I need to make me okay? It's, if that's the statement, if that statement is true, that must mean you weren't okay. You feel that? It's not too far. It just means I'm not okay, right? And keep it super simple. Super, super simple. I'm not okay. And I'm not okay because right now I don't feel loved. And then have this cute little mental experiment. I'm in backwards upside down world. Instead of how can I get love, how can I go give love? And how can I let it pour through me in the biggest, truest, just most obnoxiously me way? Without, and this is the kicker, without doing it to get something in return. Because again, you're going to taint, you're going to pollute that signal. And so start doing this in your life. And if you can do it in one area, that's why even like if you can only choose one masterclass, go do the nutrition masterclass. And if you can only do one thing, do this little thought experiment or life experiment. Because if you pour yourself all the way into one thing and you saturate yourself with the experiencing of it, and then you pick it apart like a scientist, you with you. Why did I feel better when I went and did this thing? Instead of, I need to go find all the compounds that can change my hormones and my neurotransmitters to be more of the happy hormones, and I need to go get sunlight to go have more serotonin. I need to stop. It's better, but it's not true. It's better, but it's not true, right? So the truth is really what's going to set you free. You can still use these inputs. You can still utilize light and nutrition. That's why I did those classes, but you've got to do them in a true way. And you stop the obsession and the mental, they should not occupy any space in your mind after you learn them and you implement them and you commit to them. It's like the second you take that course, you're married to it. And it's like, for better or worse, you're not getting out, you're committed to it, you're going to make it's going to work. And that's how you need to go into these things, not this like I'm half in, half out, and I'm going to call that commitment. I'm half in, half out, and I'm going to call that dedication. I'm half in, half out, but it has to prove itself to me before I continue to, that's not it. Go full, wholehearted in, right? And let it saturate your experience, let it saturate every part of you. And when you do that, I promise you, you do implement one truth. And let it pulse through you. Let the whole experience of it saturate you. Pick it apart like a scientist, and it will teach you every other area that you could imagine. And so, again, if you only could do one masterclass, a lot of you ask that, do nutrition. Do nutrition, hands down. Because it's gonna make you check in with you. Mind, heart, emotions, then physical activity, right? Way, way, way later. And it's going to show you where to put priority on those things. And it's so important. And then when you do that, think that way with all other things. You're like, how could I see everything else differently? Through the same lens. I walk you through how to see it. How can you be like, okay, if this is true, and I used to think this is true, but these two things aren't compatible, then what does that mean about this? And that's how you can think yourself through it, right? So use your mind in a different way. Use it. Don't let it be dictated and governed by this app or by fear or by clinging, needy. It's not true. Anytime you're in that stage of clinging, you've got to know that there's something else that's calling to you, something greater, something so much more powerful, so much more beautiful. And then when you live it, that's when you build up that self-respect. And when you start building up that self-respect, self-trust is a beautiful side effect. It's not something you have to work on. It's just, no, I trust myself. And then I can be in any room, I can be around any person, I can be in any environment. And because I know me and I know my body and I trust myself because of all of these other actions, not just I thought myself here, no, because of I put it in action living. I challenge myself in the actual living of life, not staying at home thinking through things, trying to just stay in my, no, I lived in a way that challenged me, where I needed to be challenged, and I didn't shy away from anything, and I let life teach me, right? And then the thing that I'm going to end with here, because I think it's important, when you go do this work, you can't go into this work and expect that life won't break your heart. You can't go into this work, you can't go into truth and expect that it's only positive, those more quote-unquote happy emotions. Just like David White says, I can't remember what poem, some of you might know, but he says in this very beautiful way that he wished somebody would have told him that life was going to break his heart. And the beauty behind that is when we know that to love is to almost be guaranteed that your heart will be broken, that the courage and the beauty of love is demonstrated through the act of going all in, even knowing that, not trying to act like it won't happen or look away from anything, but having the courage, the grit, the strength to look at everything that will come and to say, I can go through it, I can trust myself, I can trust something greater than myself, and I, no matter what, will come out of this respecting myself more, being stronger, being more open, being more loving, being more true than I've ever been before, right? Why? Because that's my character. That's my standard. That's me, right? I don't have to prove anything to anyone, but I promise myself to live in a way where I respect everything that I do. And if you can take that into every action you take, it's going to change it, right? When I say when you change, everything changes. And it's not just placebo effect. It's you literally have a say in the transmission and the receptivity of every input, physical or non-physical. And when you grasp that, it starts getting so cool and so fun. That doesn't mean it's not hard. You have to have, again, that I'll find that poem. You have to know that you're not doing it wrong when life breaks your heart. Because that was my learning. I feel like that's been my learning for a while now, is it's not defeat that you had your heart broken. It's not defeat when things don't go how you thought that they were going to go. That's not defeat. That is something entirely different. And to continue is the point. To honor life, to honor yourself, and again, to have that integrity that requires no other person on earth, right? True integrity means nobody else would ever have to see, know, or even be aware of ever. And I live this way because that's how I live. I speak this way, I believe this way, I show up this way, no matter who you are, where we're at, because I want to be in integrity, right? And then that is going to change all of this too. So know that you're not wrong, and you didn't do it wrong if you have symptoms. Symptoms are not your punishment. You didn't do it wrong, and you're not wrong if life broke your heart. You're not doing it wrong, and you're not wrong if you've made mistakes and failures, right? Remember we talked last week with that beautiful song. If you looked at failure, if you looked at pain, if you looked at heartbreak as just another direction on a map, like north, south, east, west, just another part of that compass, instead of putting so much pressure on it, how would it change you to be like, okay, that wasn't fun, but that was part of it. Instead of avoiding a life that never, like creating a life that never goes north, right? Never has pain, never has heartache, never has heartbreak, never has loss or failure. To know that sometimes you will have that, but to have the courage, the tenacity, the beauty, the devotion to live a life true and to continue. And I think that that's one of the things that will change your health quicker than any supplement, any rigid diet, any micromanaging or manipulation of your physiology or your tissues. And no matter what, it's who you become because of everything, not what you get. And when you can see that with your health, it will force you to rise to a different level. It's not perfecting your body that is the gift. It's who you became that allowed the body to translate into optimal health because of who you were, right? Totally different. All right. I hope something hit. If something hit, let it resonate with you. Put it in your day, plant that seed, and spend your time. Your time is the whole point. Your time is the most valuable thing on the planet. So if you gave time here, thank you for sharing it with me. I hope it changed your day. I hope it changed your heart. I hope it changed your mind. If we can change your perspective, you could change your whole life, but you've got to act on it. So now whatever you felt, go act on it. Put it into application. Go earn your respect from you, nobody else. Earn your respect. And then you'll trust yourself more than you've ever trusted yourself before, because it's the respect that was required first. All right. You are all so loved. Remember, your body only knows healing. Your mind does not. Truths are truths, even if you don't believe in them, but when you do and you act with them, it gets to be a lot of fun. And you don't have to try, right? But you do have to exert effort. And then, isn't he cute? That's your farewell. We'll wrap it up here, and I'm going to scan through a couple of these while he's in the background being adorable. That's Checo. He's the new little tiny love of my life. Billy's back there too. They're finally getting along. Billy was determined to hate him for the longest time, but he's such a sweet that little guy. I just squish him and I just like put them together and like get some little cuddle puddles of fuzz. All right. So many beautiful comments too. So I'm gonna hop out. We'll do part 2 on the other side, like always. Got some personal little fun stories. All right. Thank you all for being here. Have a beautiful weekend.